From the Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek studio, PBS Kansas presents Ageless Enthusiasm. Coming up on the next Ageless Enthusiasm, I speak with a couple who met as foreign exchange students and then courted for 12 years before finally getting married.
On our own, although we kept in contact with letters.
Yeah. We also find out from Susanna Matthews, who's known as the date maven.
Don't give up. You never know. You could turn the corner around the next road and just be in the position to meet someone.
I'm Mindy East. All that and more tonight on Ageless Enthusiasm. Welcome to Ageless Enthusiasm. I'm your host, Mindy East, and I'm joined today by my guests, Vicki and Nick England from Olathe. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Vicki, you grew up in Wichita.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So you were a North High Redskin.
I was a North High Redskin. I went to McLean, Marshall, and North High. Yeah.
And that's how I know you.
Yes, correct.
And then where did you go to college?
Well, I ended up at a liberal arts university in Enid, Oklahoma, called Phillips University.
Okay, and that's where you enrolled in their foreign exchange program.
Yes, that's correct.
So tell me a little bit about how you met Nick way across the world.
Wow, yeah. So it was 1977, and at this college they had an exchange program, and you could go for a semester, and it was kind of a grassroots program. It was a professor at this university had developed this little program where students from US could go over there, and then others from Sweden could come back over to America for a semester. So it was 1977, and went over with my little group, and it was like the very first week I was there of the opening up for the fall. And we were going on a field trip, and there were a couple of buses, and I was a little bit late, so I climbed up on the bus with all of my baggage and put it on the bus. And as I started to walk off, I see this guy here. Cute guy here with two bags, just like really trudging up the hill. And it was just he and I. And I kind of stepped off the bus, and that was the point that we had an exchange.
And what part of Sweden was this?
It would be the central part of Sweden, I would say, you know, the middle of it. Yeah.
Beautiful college. In the forest, a little village by a lake. What can you can't ask for more. What can you say?
From a liberal arts college, what were you hoping to gain from that experience?
You know, I was dreaming. The program was so well talked about that it was like, oh, you get just a well-rounded experience. Of course, you're in a foreign country. You're seeing different things. There were two different little trips that we got to take. One to Soviet Union, if you can believe it. The Soviet Union, and then we went around Europe. So I was looking for kind of a immersion, I guess you could say, you know, learn about the language. They had weaving classes and different types of sports that we knew nothing about. So it was really just a chance to learn a different culture, I think,
So you went over there not speaking any Swedish?
No.
And so, Nick, did you speak a little English? Because you weren't raised over, you were born in Malta, is that right?
No, I was born in Sweden. We did live in Malta for a little bit.
Okay.
But so I came up this hill and I asked her, you know, is this the school or is this where we're going? Because my first day in the school all together. And I spoke to her in Swedish and she responded, I'm so sorry, I don't speak any Swedish.
I mean, I kind of looked probably a little Swedish, you
Sure.
know, just climbing off this bus. And, you know, he said blah, 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 something that I didn't know. And I said, I'm so sorry, I don't speak any Swedish. And he kind of was taken aback. Yeah.
So Nick, can you replicate, what did you say to Vicky?
I said, hej, du, jag bara undrar, är det här vi ska gå in? Är det här skolan och är det här bussen vi ska gå på? Ja.
Yeah. And I said, I am so sorry. Now I understand what he was saying, but back then had no clue. So
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
So was that when the attraction started?
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I would say
I would say
Good
so.
answer.
Yeah.
It was a click, though. It was something, you know, no real romance per se at that point, but there was something, I don't know, intellectually that just kind of went, you know, click.
Yeah.
So that was 77. So you were there until what, spring of 78?
Actually, just until December of that year.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
one semester.
And then you returned to America.
Yes, yes, yes.
How did this all happen? Because tell us, we'll kind of scoot to the end. You guys have been married how many years?
Yeah, almost 33 years.
Almost 33 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did that all transpire?
You know, I was 20, he was 17, and so I don't think either one of us were thinking romance or anything like that, but we kind of, you know, had kind of a fun little, you know, friendship. It was really a friendship. We had a group of friends that kind of both Swedish and English. I mean, in the evenings, there was not TV, so we all of us would sit around drinking tea and talking and just getting to know each other.
And there was a volunteer project in the little village where we went out to rake leaves for different people living in the village, because there's a lot of birches, you know, those trees and all, and they drop all their leaves, and so we would be raking, and I made sure to join the group where she was going, you know, and we were with
He was in charge of assigning everybody a place to go, and somehow we ended up together.
Yeah.
How about that? How did that work out?
I don't know how that worked out, but I think I had something to do with it.
And it was a lot of fun. And then like the last night he came to my room before I left, and you know, it was just kind of real innocent and, you know, let's write letters, you know, and this is just really enthusiastic, you know.
Before the internet, of course.
Oh,
yes.
And a long distance phone call would be very pricey. Plus the time difference. What is that time difference?
7 hours.
7 hours.
Yes.
And then it was also kind of like, well, are we, you know, is the Earth's rotation moving around the satellite right, or are we going to break up because of the satellite connection, you know? So there was a lot going on there, but so we kind of wanted to. Also, we were so young, we wanted to pursue our own thing, kind of still. So we had quite a bit of living we did on our own. Although we kept in contact
through
with
letters.
Letters.
Really letters.
Letters. I think primarily we didn't start calling for a while. But then, well, the following fall, if I, you know, I went to Phillips University in Enid, Oklahoma. Yes.
How about that?
How about that? And you know,
78.
78 in the fall, and just for one semester as well as part of my program, and you know, it was an interesting experience. So, you know, Enid, Oklahoma. I mean, I had been in France to learn French, you know, for one summer, and then I traveled in Northern Africa. We'd lived in the Mediterranean area with Malta and all that, and my family had been around in Europe quite a bit, and then you get to Enid, Oklahoma, and Enid, Oklahoma has its own charm, you know, if I put it that way. And today,
in their own language.
Their own language, own culture.
And the charm you see, I think we see today a lot more. I see a lot more today than I did then.
Was that your biggest shock coming to America? What surprised you the most about the United States?
Well, you know, at that time, I mean, America today is so much more aware of the world and the international things that are going on. We know there is so much more health awareness, you know, and all those things. That's a good question you're asking there. It was kind of like, okay, you know, people didn't walk anywhere. They just drove all the time, and the food was fantastic. And that's, I learned to fall passionately in love with Brahms, you know, and both their hamburgers and their ice cream. And you know, I devoured that. Yeah, but during that semester, you know, we saw each other, we interacted, we talked. But we were both, you were busy in school. I was busy, yeah. And I was, you know, learning and interacting with a lot of other people too.
Which is probably healthy for the relationship to have some comparison.
Yeah, and we were still really just friends.
Absolutely.
But we knew it was so cool that he was there. And
and then
still special.
Then you separated again, and you went back to Sweden, and you came back to Kansas.
I did. I did get my bachelor's in music therapy, and came back to Wichita. I actually worked at Wichita State for a while. I wasn't sure I wanted to continue in music therapy, so ended up going to KU to get my clinical social worker's degree. But yeah, during that whole time, it was letter writing and us kind of doing our own thing, but always kind of saving our money. When can we, you know, go to Europe, come to America next? So,
so when did that happen?
So well, I just want to add one thing there. So before, we hadn't seen each other that much during that semester, but the last day she gave me her driver's license and said, "I love you," you know. And what is your interpretation of that? But I'm saying, okay, there's more to it here, maybe. So yeah. So
I mean, what? I don't even remember that too much.
Well, I knew I was going to surprise you when we
was I driving without a driver's license?
Was that a cultural thing?
I don't know what that was.
Here's my license.
It was an old license, as I'm kind of remembering now, and I said I love you, you know. But it was
it was nice.
Who knows? Yeah.
So when did things really start to take off?
So then that was 85 in London, and then we then when did you come over?
88.
88. Yeah. And she came over, and she stayed in my apartment. I had a little studio, you know, and still as friends, we were. I mean, we were good at holding relationship like that, and then. Were we really friends though? Yeah.
I think we were a little bit more.
Okay, on our way to something.
Yeah,
maybe.
On our way.
Yeah. But then, so then we drove around a little bit in Sweden, and then we drove to Oslo in Norway, and where they have fantastic salmon, and it's just a very, very beautiful city, you know, and the Karl Johan is the main street there, the walk, you know, where you go, and so. We went to get salmon and wine and all that, and then we walked on the street back and forth. And then at that time, you know, I said, you know, we've always had a very special relationship, you and I. And she said,
special love. You said special love for each other.
Yeah. So
that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
Although, you know, when leading up to that trip, that's kind of, I was on a search and destroy mission, I guess, you know, in terms of like. I really, I was set in my career. I kind of really wanted to know, so is this something or not? So when I went over, I had some questions. I really didn't tell him what the questions were, but I had kind of a list that I was checking off.
And you were expecting him to read your mind.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like, you know, I really wanted to hear how special he was to me was how special I was to him.
Right.
And he passed the test.
Okay. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. So this is such a charming story. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But we're going to take a quick break, just like you guys did in your relationship. And we'll be right back to get the rest of your story. But next, we're going to talk to someone and get a different perspective on compatibility. I'm joined now by Susanna Matthews, who's known as the Date Maven. Susanna, you are a TEDx speaker, an author, a dating coach, and you know everything there is to know about dating here in Wichita. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mindy.
So you have 10 things that show up as far as red flags. And one of the things on there is making a list. And I think, you know, when I was single, I made a list. How do you cross that line of, these are the things I want that I won't, you know, compromise or settle for without missing out on someone who's really amazing?
Sure. Well, and in truth, I mean, there are pink flags, there are orange flags, there are red flags. Not every red flag is sort of created equal, but I think that the warning or the encouragement that I'm trying to give there is I will ask my clients to really think about, what do you absolutely positively have to have in order to have a happy, healthy relationship? And then what is simply a preference? And a lot of people are making that list more like a shopping list, and it's full of preferences. But if they really focus down on what's truly important, what's a deal breaker, a non-negotiable, then the list can become a little bit slimmer and a little more realistic, and then we don't get kind of like distracted by shiny objects along the way.
Does that list reveal more about who we are?
It reveals a lot, and it should, because it should be based on your values, on the kind of lifestyle, the vision that you have for your life. A lot of people get hung up on things like what the person does for a living, or height, or
what car they drive.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And none of those ultimately are really going to feed your soul and determine your long-term compatibility with someone.
I love that. Susanna, what would you say to someone who might be watching today who's single? What kind of encouragement would you offer them?
I would say don't give up. You never know. You could turn the corner around the next road and just be in the position to meet someone wonderful. I think one of the best things we can do is live a full, rich, self-loving life. And when we live that kind of life, our vibe is high.
Right.
And when your vibe is high, then any room you walk into, you just kind of radiate that energy. You become more noticeable, more desirable, more appealing, and you get to enjoy life along the way. And it's not so outcome oriented. I always talk about non-attachment to outcome. Just meet people. It doesn't matter if the next one is your next lover, husband, wife, friend, bunco partner, whatever.
And then lastly, you have written a book. Tell us a little bit about your book.
My book is called Revising Mrs. Robinson, and it's about age gap relationships or intergenerational relationships between older women and younger men, or the cougar cub phenomenon, as it's been called by some. And a lot of people will remember the character Mrs. Robinson from the old movie The Graduate. So that's where I took my inspiration from.
Oh, perfect. Susanna, what is one thing our viewers can do to prepare before they come to see you, before they get on an app, before they put themselves out there? What would you recommend them doing?
Well, I'll give you one little homework assignment, and for anyone watching, they can do this at home as well. Write down 100 reasons I am the prize. 100 reasons why I would be an amazing boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner. Know your worth.
Wow. And then try to match that. Be that person every day.
Be the person you want to match up with.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being my guest today. It's just a delight to hear about what we can look forward to if we're navigating that single life over 50.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Susanna. So we're back now with Vicki and Nick, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how it's hard enough to have a relationship when you're both in the same area, same continent, same traditions, cultures, and language. Tell me a little bit about your concerns as you were moving towards marriage.
My real big concern was I knew that, you know, with this type of relationship, somebody would have to sacrifice something. A relationship with a parent, or just being able to access parents, or parents accessing them, siblings, that type of thing. And so I knew that that was going to be a real concern. So I just wanted to make sure that we were into it enough that, you know, we could do it. I had no concerns that we wouldn't be able to do it, but I knew that would be a big thing. There would be a sacrifice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, true love
Yeah.
will cross a mountain.
Yeah.
Mountain range.
Yes.
So how about you, Nick? Did you have any
Yeah,
reservations?
yeah, I mean, we ended up with Vicky moving to Sweden first, and living in Sweden with me for 3.5 years, because I was actually still in school, and or had started a new program, and yeah, how I was going to make it work, and how can she assimilate quickly and have friends, and in this environment.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah, but can I just say,
Yeah.
we've been so lucky, just so lucky in terms of like what our own personalities are like and how we were able to blend things. I just love all the Swedish foods and traditions, of course. And he's been so great with being flexible yet stable, and being able to jump right into an environment. Neither one of us, knew a lot about the other environment. So we've been really lucky that it has all worked out.
How did you two blend the two family traditions
Yeah.
between Sweden and America?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We have ended up, we both speak each of the languages. At home, it's a little bit Swinglish. It's sometimes I speak Swedish, he speaks English, and sometimes there's words that are, intermingled, but we all understand. And our boys, my husband being a speech pathologist, he really wanted only to speak Swedish to the boys. So he has only spoken Swedish to them.
What a wonderful gift for them.
Yes, and so they pretty much understand it all now. So
And then
we found a group of Swedes in Johnson County that we could kind of bond with and everything, and keep up the traditions that way.
What about foods? Did you learn to fix some of his favorites?
Yes, but he's such a good cook that I pretty much just have him do it. But I mean, fish, he is the salmon.
The king of salmon.
King salmon, right there. So, so we definitely have different foods.
Well, you're probably so compatible, and that compatibility probably just made you
we really
stick
are.
together.
We really are in different ways. We're different types of personalities, but boy,
complementing each other. I think
And then you went on to have twin boys.
Yes.
Were they born in America?
Yes.
Okay. So at that point, you, after 3 years in Sweden, you decided to move to the United States.
Yeah,
And
correct.
you have dual citizenship.
I do.
And I understand your boys, Alex and Johan.
Johan, correct.
They do as well.
They do, yeah.
And so this is interesting, so many people try to look for love right in their backyard or whatever, but you guys were open to the possibility of finding it across the world.
We really were. We knew there had to be some groundwork, such as, having the finances to even do it, and looking at careers and stuff, but we were a tad bit older, having had 12 years to kind of work things out, which is kind of a good thing. You
didn't rush into anything.
We didn't, but we knew what we wanted, and we had the groundwork kind of to do that. So.
And what did you want?
Well, we wanted each other, and we wanted a life with each other, and I feel so blessed that we've had that. We've had that.
That's amazing.
Almost 33 years. So
thank you so much for sharing your memories and your dreams with us. And it's just such an amazing story that you met as exchange students, and you've been together for 33 years of marriage and friendship 12 years before that.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank
it was a pleasure and a delight.
So enjoyed being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today. I'm your host, Mindy East, and this is Ageless Enthusiasm.